A very good evening to those of you present here today. Welcome to the English News Presenting Workshop tailored for Supernova Phase IV, the Inter-University Trilingual News Presenting Competition organized by Japura News of Japura Voice of the University of Sri Jayewardenepura. I am Tahsha de Silva, your host for this evening. Communication serves as a channel for the exchange of ideas, attitudes, and beliefs among individuals, with language being the indispensable tool facilitating this interaction. We are honored to have over 360 talented contestants from public, semi-public, and private universities across the island, all competing for the title of Skilled News Anchor within Supernova Phase IV. This workshop has been organized for those who may not have applied for Supernova Phase IV, but have an interest in exploring the field of news. I encourage you to stay till the end, absorb the wealth of knowledge presented today, and combine it with your existing understanding, as well as to explore any questions you might have towards the end of the session. Firstly, I'd like to extend an invitation to our chairperson for Supernova Phase IV, Ms. Rashini Fernando, for the welcome speech.
Thank you, Tasha. A very good evening to our esteemed guest speaker of the day and the participants of today's workshop. Supernova, which has been conducted 3 times beforehand, is ready to step into its 4th phase by fulfilling its main objectives of inspiring, motivating, and providing insight to aspiring news presenters as to how the art and the industry works. Thereby, I warmly welcome you all to the English News Presenting Workshop of Supernova Phase IV. I would like to extend a warm welcome to the guest speaker of today's workshop, Mr. Charitha Minipuraarachchi. Dear sir, we warmly welcome you with gratitude and appreciation, and thank you for joining us with this wonderful venture despite your busy schedule. Moreover, I warmly welcome the ambitious participants of today's session who have joined today in order to follow in the footsteps of leaders before and make their marks in being pioneers of the truth. Thereby, I invite you to stay till the end of this session as we here at Japura News hope to create the best and most insightful platform for young news presenters to not only to follow in the paths, but also to be the best in their industry. Therefore, I end my speech by once again extending a warm welcome to all those who present here today and all of you by encouraging you to stay till the end of the session to gain the best of this opportunity. Thank you and have a nice evening.
Thank you, Ms. Rashini. Next, a warm welcome to Mr. Charitha Minipuraarachchi, an esteemed English news anchor at Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation, a recognized figure in the industry who won the prestigious Best Communicator Award in 2023. Beyond the studio, Mr. Minipuraarachchi has also established himself as an attorney at law in the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka. Hello, Mr. Minipuraarachchi.
Hello, good evening, Tahsha. Am I audible and visible?
Hi. Yes, you are. I'd like to invite you now to take the lead for the remainder of the workshop.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much for that introduction. So first of all, I would like to apologize for shifting your workshop for today from the last Sunday morning. Yes, I can see a number of participants are joining. I don't know whether some were let in inconvenience to join today's session. If so, I think you'll are providing a recorded session or any other convenient way for them to have some sort of an exposure. Right. Okay. So can I start and go ahead, Tahsha?
Yes, of course.
Right. Okay. Right. Hold on a second. Right. Okay. So let's start today's workshop. So thank you very much, Japura News by Japura Voice, for inviting me. I think since phase one, I was joining with Japura Voice by Japura News for their project Supernova Illusion, and I'm privileged to be and work with them and to cater if something is possible, if there is any potential within me to uplift any sort of standards in the young community. So with that opportunity, I got the request to proceed with Supernova Phase 4, and I humbly, respectfully accepted. And thank you very much, Japura, for inviting me and joining me with your esteemed event. So, right, so we have future news anchors here joining with Japura News by Japura Voice, which is a university level brand. So you all are also lucky enough, to join to such a platform and showcase your talents and go forward. Right. So first of all, I would like to start. We have the chat box, and I hope participants can also unmute their microphones. So you can drop your questions from the very beginning. If you do have any, I would like to answer them within my session appropriately according to my flow. And when the opportunity is given, you all also can, unmute yourselves and respond to my questions. And if you do have any questions, you can ask. So you can ask each and everything that you do have from me, so that I'm sure that I can answer each and every question that comes out from you. Right. So informing that outline. So the chat box is open. So the organizers will let you unmute your session, a more effective and a more fruitful one. At the end of the session, you might not have any consequences or any drawbacks or any unsolved problems, right? Okay, let's move ahead to the so-called workshop. Please be familiar, friendly, and try to discuss, try to sort out your problems, sort out your questions, and be be friendly, right? So news anchors, presenters, communicators, they do have the potential to relaxly deal with any circumstance, right? If you do have any circumstance, you might be able to, and you must be able to, and it's a definitely you must specifically adhere to those circumstances, making yourselves comfortable, right? I'll explain that thing first as an introduction, as an approach to my workshop, right? Suppose now you all are, all of them are university students. Am I correct, Tahsha? Right. Okay. So you all have gone through advanced levels, selected to a government or a private-owned university, and you are pursuing your studies. So you all have done something exceptionally well than other students, and you all are privileged. You have secured a place in a particular prestigious university. So that's why you all are here, right? And when you all are studying, suppose that you have a lot of background noises. The environment is disturbing. Now also I can hear a vehicle moving on the road. So if you create a disturbance out of what you hear, what you do, that won't be a positive sign. Why? Because when you do present news, you have a small equipment, right? Called the earpiece, right? It's like the headphone, right? So that particular earpiece, you can hear a lot of things. That is for the purpose of communicating to the newsreader from the control room, right? So you have the control room adjacent to the news studio, and there's a main control room, so-called Pradhana Palaka Madhirya, right? All those are connected, but to your earpiece, only the bulletin producer speaks, right? But they won't switch it off when they are talking unnecessary things. Those studio, the control room people also communicate, all right, the today's climate, the petrol value, okkoma you hear when you do present news, right? So if you are losing concentration to your bulletin, or if you try to answer their questions when you hear them, that will be a major issue and you'll be disqualified to be a news anchor, right? So from now onwards, practice yourselves. Don't make it an excuse for yourselves that, all right, the environment is disturbing, I was not able to do this thing properly. Although any sort of disturbance might be there, but you must be able to maintain your concentration, the first thing that you will need to establish, right? And now you all have numerous educational backgrounds. You might be studying engineering, medicine, literature, law, or whatever it is, but being an effective communicator is very much important. So you can speak to your friends, you can speak to your clients, you can speak to your colleagues in an office environment, you can communicate with your seniors. That is a very important thing. So being a news anchor or a news reader or a news presenter is quite a bit a different task. Why I say so is that if you want to believe something, whether it is true or not, now you surf the Facebook and you understand that, all right, so now this incident has happened. But to make it more sure, you still watch a renowned TV station's Facebook page or their news bulletin or their press release or whatever it is. Why? Because you believe the credibility within that news presenter or the news station or the TV station or the YouTube channel or whatever it is, right? So as a news anchor, you must improve, you must establish your credibility, right? So to be credible, I'll explain you an example. For example, now I'm doing news. So apart from my other things, recognize me as a news anchor at Trilingual Rupavahini Corporation. All the others you let aside. So in these scenarios, I'm not using them because you all are in front of me to learn about news. So in that scenario, I'm having a tattoo here. Right? So with that tattoo, I'm going to present news, right? Now there's a common, it's wrong, to judge people from the outer appearance. You always explain, you always have written essays, don't judge a book by its cover. Those are musically also, they entertain those types of quotes, right? So anyways, you all judge, right? So when I do present news at the National News Desk, I have a tattoo here and a tattoo here, right? There are two beautiful tattoos, right? A rosamala, right? This is a rose flower and something like an arrow, whatever it is suitable to the face, I'm having, right? So anyways, we can't use tattoos and I can't continue with my profession. In the medical profession, I can't use anything. Despite of that, that's why I ask you to assume this news thing only, because you all are obliged to be with that. And with that two tattoos, I'm sitting at the news desk. So will you believe what I say? Right? All right, that person has some tattoos, he's from somewhere else and accidentally arrived at the news desk and reading the news, right? You will say numerous stories, right? and you all will explain numerous, I mean, correlate different incidents on his Facebook is like this. See his attire is not neat at all. Likewise, you'll explain different rumors. You'll create whatever you want, right? Why? Because my personal appearance, my personality is not fitting to the so-called the position of a news anchor, right? To be credible, to, I mean, if you dress well, I mean, just try to walk into a shop with a formal attire, right? And just turn around. Someone will quickly rush. Even the manager will quickly rush, right? I mean, rush into you and ask, sir, how can I help you? But just an ordinary, I mean, just not neat at all, some ragged clothes or whatever it is, they won't come to you, right? So although we explain about the social justice and whatsoever, no excuse. As a news anchor, as a news presenter, you must be beautifully professionally attired at the news desk, so then only they believe what you will say. At the same time, if the news station or the TV station or the particular YouTube channel or whatever will judge that this person might not be credible because of this personal appearance, he is not so professional. His personality will not be accepted by the people, by the society. So we can't accommodate him as a news anchor. So they will chase you away, right? So the other thing that I want to explain at the very beginning is that you must be credible. You must prove that you have the credibility. Before speaking at a glance, the only way to prove, to show your credibility is to be professionally, neatly attired. No need to be so-called expensive ones, but what you do have, you can manage and wear. I mean, like manage and wear is also, there's a particular standard, but be an individual that you can portray, that you can show that you are beautifully, neatly attired, matching, I mean, perfectly going in line with what you attend. That is not only for the purpose of sitting at the news desk. When you roam here and there, when you go out, when you do attend any, when you maintain your social media or any other incident or any other environment, you should maintain that. Why? Because the TV station, they have kept a lot of credibility within you, right? So you must build your professional appearance suiting to that particular circumstance, right? So if you have an ambition to be a good presenter, a news anchor, maintain a good image that will be beneficial for other things as well. A good LinkedIn profile, a good Facebook or whatever. You can do jokes and you can share something that be within the professional limits. So most people who have not understood this thing has fallen in trouble, right? So that is one basic important mandatory thing that you want to establish, right? So that's why you might not understand the importance of those two facts, but you will realize it later on when you fall in trouble. So mark my word, the date and time, and write it somewhere. Definitely establish those factors and uh, move ahead. Otherwise, it will be a huge black mark that cannot be resolved at the time that you encounter, right? There are ample of opportunities, there are TV stations, so you can proceed with your educational background, the professional dignity that you will have created. Try to be a person to enlighten a particular company or a particular situation, not to enlighten yourself from that. Then only they will recruit you. Anyone won't take you in to give you prestige. If they want prestige, they will take. Assume that, take it into your mind, and proceed with the same. Might you have heard or not, media don't need any qualifications. It is the profession that you need maximum. Why? You can be chased out anytime, right? Without any prior notice, even just before the bulletin. If someone comes and sit into the news desk, you can go rush and do whatever you want, right? So keep it in your mind, because if you start something, there must be a professional path to proceed, right? So that is the most important thing. And when you come do present news in a prestigious competition like this, we are not discriminating others, but what we believe is that you have to be prepared for that particular situation. So that will be some additional plus points, right? TV, radio is two different things. Radio, you are not visible, but the television, you all are visible, right? So understand, take it into your mind, and go ahead. Right. Okay. So I just took a couple of minutes to explain those very important aspects, because as far as I believe, I have seen it 100%, which is essential for you all. If I'm not, updating you all in that regard, you might not understand whether it's important or not. At the end of the day, you will be anyways happy. But as a social responsibility, I'm enlightening each and every phrase that I want to emphasize, right? Okay, let all them kept aside and made as it be. You are a news anchor. Now assume yourselves as a news anchor, right? Now, when you do read news, is it just a piece of paper you are reading? So I'm just quickly from the work environment to a workshop and back again to work. So I was not in a position to prepare some scripts for you all. So close by in my close proximity, but I will be conducting your session in a different way. So each and every way should be different, right? Let's assume that the environment is good. Always we think the grass on the other side is greener. What is that? Grass on the other side is, you must be well versed with this language, right? Grass on the other side is greener. That means we all assume that likewise, right? It's not suitable, it's not matching. And even I want to emphasize this fact: if you do need to ask anything, if you can't understand that particular thing in English, right, please ask me, drop me a message even in Sinhala or whatever it is, I'll be helping you. Why I say so? Because if you have gone through the stories of successful personalities, they have undergone a different hectic time period, being not comfortable with the language what they do, right? Even in Sri Lanka, there are presenters. I won't say such names, but as a general thing, you can understand, you can take it into your mind. Some good Sinhala people, without having no English background, they have undergone severe hardships and established themselves in this industry as English anchors and English presenters. So nothing to worry. Even from this moment onwards, you have time to secure your position. So it's not a fact that you don't know English at the moment, but knowing English and presenting is two different things. I'll explain it, right? Okay, so just learn some beautiful English phrases and make your language more beautiful, right? So for that purpose, from this moment onwards, try reading more. And if I ask you to read books, some might not be interested, because myself is the same, right? I'm not a big fan of books, and it takes a bit of a considerable time for me to read also. But what I do from my younger times is that now those days we were not equipped with mobile phones when we were pursuing our education things. That it's not a huge time back, it's a recent time, right? So but anyways, we didn't have those facilities to the great extent that we are enjoying right now. And once we started enjoying those facilities, and a considerable time, after the lapse of a considerable time period, what I do was that I was just searching YouTube. Those days I didn't have a YouTube package. It was the Facebook that I did have. So in Facebook, they were suggesting me different video clips. right? So therefore, many interviews. Later on, I shifted to YouTube, but again, it's convenient for me to use Facebook because you can shift from one thing to the other, right? So YouTube is different. I don't like YouTube, right? So in that case, if you need these video clips, then you can shift to the other, because each and everyone from YouTube, they post the same to the Facebook as well. So watch some interviews, some interesting explanations, right? And later on, I discovered a very important Facebook page. They had their own website, and they do even have their YouTube channel. It's BBC Learning English. Everywhere I'm saying that because I have learned a lot from it, right? Even still, I'm learning. Still, each and everyone is learning, right? All the news anchors, right? Before the news bulletin, if they do have a word which is not known them to very well, I mean, they check the pronunciation before pronouncing that word on air, right? So nothing to be worried, nothing to let yourselves down. Each and everyone do have words that they don't know, and even words related to their subject they might know, but out of their scope, if something like in literature or whatever it is, I might not know. But some, if it is familiar to what I have learned, I know. That's why it being educated makes it a plus point for you all to pursue, right? Okay, back to the story that I was explaining. Uh, I didn't get any messages in the chat box. This no. Chat has renamed as Q&A. So for that Q&A thing, you can drop your questions, and A will be provided from my end, right? Q from you, A from me, right? Okay, so all good. And try watching those videos and see how British people, the Southern British accent, we understand it as a Southern British accent, what we do accept here, even in Trupapahini, how they pronounce words. So BBC Learning English, if you undergo, it's like better than any of the training courses. I'm not letting down any training courses. They do provide it in a convenient way, right? But BBC Learning English is a good platform that you can rely on, right? So, I mean, just watch those videos and learn something. Just one fact per day. If I ask you to take a book and write those facts, it's better, but I persuaded myself to write, and I have used 2-3 books, but not more than 2-3 pages that I filled from each and every book, right? So that won't be practical for myself, but if it's practical to you, just please do. What I do is that I watch the same video again and again. That goes into your mind. So as a result, when doing workshops or whatever, anything, anytime, at any cost, so whatever I need to do, I don't need any scripts so to write. I can do it randomly, shifting my own subject. That's up to me. That's how I manage myself. But if it's different to you, you just take a book and note down the special things, right? Learning is a continuous process, and you must make yourselves a part of it, right? Okay, BBC Learning English. So in that BBC Learning English, as BBC is a television station, I mean, it's a media institute. They do broadcast and do many disciplines, I mean, related to with the other countries as well. So they do have news bulletins also embedded in those videos. Some words, how you pronounce it in different situations, how you deal with different situations. I mean, explaining certain words with their meaning. Now, for example, a particular word is different when it's used in different positions, in different contexts, in different sentences. So they explain. So go through those things and will establish yourselves within the language, right? And I explained previously, speaking very beautifully, writing very beautiful, I mean, notes and everything. You are not well versed in presenting, right? Now, for example, you will have experience. Now we have two genders, no, girls and boys, male and female. So probably we know the female party is good at writing, right? When you surf down Facebook or read, I mean, in the so-called love letters and everything, the notes that they do, right? they are using a very beautiful, elegant language in Facebook post. I even can't believe myself putting into that type of a creative situation. Superb English. We need an Oxford dictionary for sure to translate some of those words. Girls are writing, I mean, they have, it's like about PhDs, how they have knitted what they need to write, right? But even in practical, I'm not letting down anyone. Practical scenario, they won't join 5 sentences and speak a grammatically correct sentence, right? And even now, the male party, they knows this thing very well. So when you serve down, and the gens are not responsible in writing those very lengthy descriptive posts on Facebook, and even they won't reply those things, and even they do reply for a particular letter from a female party, they write it from another girl and send it to that is the ordinary thing that is happening, no? So they are not responsible in writing those things, and it's not my experience as well. I just assume myself there and just explaining you, right? So in that scenario, they're writing very good English, but genuinely, they are not good when it comes to the practical scenario, right? So those are two different situations. So you will be good, you will be a well-equipped personality when speaking, right? Not in writing, it's okay. So because no one expects you to write when presenting, right? But there are other roles, editors, they do need the ability to write. But what I'm explaining you is that you must have the quality writing work as well, but that uh, is not essential in the category of being very perfect, like the Facebook post that they do, right? To a certain context, you must be able to write something, because without having the ability to write something, you won't be successful, right? So you must write. And at the same time, if you are able to knit something, I mean, join something with something and explain a particular scenario, right? That will be very, very important, right? Explain you a small incident, right? All right. This one is from Coca-Cola, right? I'm not promoting brands. So this is the equipment that I got from my, I mean, the arm distance, right? So, getting the word equipment, right? Can someone drop me a message to the Q&A box, right? What is the plural of equipment? This is an equipment. I mean, what is the plural of equipment? The first person will be getting a gift, right? You can claim it from, right? Japura boys, right? Equipment, right? So what about S equipments? Yes, Tarindu and 0008. What about the S? No S. Oh, have you all got wrong? No S, right? Is there are particular words that is different, right? For example, child, when it comes to plural, it's children. Water, when it comes to the plural context, it's water. Then Sri Lankan voters, what is that? A voters H Battaramulla. A voters H Battaramulla is a particular name. It's a pronoun. It's a different thing. Then Sri Lankan voters, it's not the plural of the word water, but Sri Lankaවට අය මුහුදු තීරය වගේ අදහසක් එන්නේ, the water belonging to Sri Lanka, right? So those types of small points you must be aware of. For example, MUST, must. We Sri Lankans, and at school we used to pronounce it the T, must. T එක තද කරලා IT එකක් තියෙනවා, there's a T, right? And when it comes to the word often, there's a T, but somehow from the schooling time period, you know that that particular T is silent. is often. But there's a particular pronunciation called often also, which is correct when considering the Southern British, right? Often, often. Often is also okay. The often is also okay, right? There are two different things. So basically we use often, right? And for must, if there is a vowel after the word T, for example, there's a door, you must open the door. How you correctly pronounce it, you must open the door. That T and O should be combined together. Must open. T and the particular vowel should be combined, right? Assume some other words beginning from some other vowel and try to combine them and practice yourselves, right? Then when it comes to a letter like C, go, I mean, C for come, G for go, right? So in that scenario, how? How can you combine? You know that two consonants cannot be combined, right? So those things you must know, right? Uh, then the T is silent there. Must go, must come, right? The T is silent. So you must know these pronunciation things. I mean, you might make mistakes, and even I myself might be doing some mistakes which I am not aware of, right? But I'm sure that I'm doing a very less number of mistakes. Why? Because I'm going through this thing, updating myself daily, and to a certain extent, other than the very first news bulletin that I did for Rupavahini, now I have improved. Each and everyone had the same, because one our senior most female and senior most news anchor, Sharon Mascarenhas, and she was showing me a particular video clip she used to do the very first news bulletin, and she's made a video of year by year. I mean, like to the entire time period since 20 years old, because since schooling she was at Rupavahini. So that particular lengthy, I mean, the small clips, but in that nearly 2 decades, she was showing me how her voice quality, pronunciations, and everything improved, right? So at the very first time, you might not be able to do, but later on, when you improve, you will be able to improve yourselves randomly, right? Okay, so learning the language is a different thing. And this one, right? My Coca-Cola. I mean, this is a different thing. This is a gift that I got. I mean, I had to turn a spin or do some game, right? And this can be used as a bat, having this screw tied to the top of the bottle, right? Okay. And what I want to explain you is that take something random, right? And try to do this exercise. Why? Because you all are thinking that each and every news is scripted. You will be getting a written script for each and every news bulletin. That is totally wrong. Because I myself have undergone certain circumstances where I need to present myself to something responded to the ear, right? Without having any script, right? No scripts at all. But I had to do that random news bulletin, very small one, but had no script. And some other time I had to translate a single script on the spot and read that particular news thing in a different manner. Those are something. So this exercise will improve you all to improve this impromptu speaking. That is very much important, right? Okay, so just I want to explain this scenario as well. I mean, what I do is not the ordinary workshops that you will encounter. This is totally practical, and this is about, I mean, this will be helping you to survive in the industry and to deal and to kick you with a good start, right? So just might mean, as it might not be the ordinary context, you might be feeling unfamiliar, but just count time and just pay your attention and make yourselves involved in these exercises. Ultimately, you will realize, not now, later on, you will realize how far that you have arrived, right? Okay, so take something random and try to speak, right? Hello, Coca-Cola. I got you as a gift. You're red in color and beautifully written your brand in white. And right, I saw this now. You have this bottle shape printed on the top, and you have a screw and some letters printed on the bottom. Right. So, yes. So, as I learned, you can be used as a bat handle and to play cricket. I had a ball like this thing. It's also there, right? Right. This is your companion, so I can screw it to a bottle, and I can enjoy myself playing small cricket. My room, when someone is not there, so that I can use a wall and try to be myself, involve and engulf myself as a professional cricketer, and just to relax myself, when doing something for a very long time, it's very difficult for us to maintain concentration. So if you need a short break, so you are very important for me. So I hope you'll survive for at least 6-7 months, so that I can relieve my stress and just change my working structure, working environment, just to a piece of entertaining cricket. Because what I do had was the original cricket bat made in wood and some tennis ball. It's very hard. So if I hit the wall might have some cracks, but you are very smooth, your companion, and you all are very good. So yes, so thank you very much for being with me. Right? Right? Okay. So those types of exercises will improve impromptu speaking, right? That will be essential not only in this news presenting category, but to be an effective communicator. You must be able to do something impromptu, right? That will be very important. I'm emphasizing it again, very important in the future, right? And apart from that, apart from impromptu speaking and whatever, assume yourselves as presenters and try to do some programs or any other thing that you come across in your original me. This thing I want to explain, right? Being a news anchor, you must have the ability to interview, right? Now, interviews, right? In that scenario, if a particular individual arrives to your news desk or the news studio, and you need to conduct a discussion with him or her, you must assume yourself not as a news anchor or a news reader or a news presenter, but you must do an effective program. Not like the formal introduction, some questions and extra, but you have to have an introduction. You have to have some good, short and sweet, elegant questions, and you must have an extra, get back to the news, right? So news is everything. As a news anchor, sometimes you must go outside and you must assume yourselves as live reporters and do reporting, right? Those are different categories, because at the Independence Day ceremonies or state funerals or whatever that is known to be as a prestigious grand scale national celebration, or any event with national prestige or whatever, have some really important incident scenarios happening there. As a news anchor, you might go to those places and they will be requesting you to do something like to give a good live update, right? So those things you have to understand and be prepared, right? So in that scenario, what I want to emphasize was that when you are alone, try to assume yourselves as presenters and do some programs, right? This is like this, right? Let's see who's there. Right, Dinesha Marasingh, right? So Dinesha, can you just unmute yourselves and tell me an incident where you will be getting an opportunity to interview a person while you are reading the news? Yes, Dinesha? Get ready that I'll be asking some random questions, right?
Sorry, sir, I didn't get it properly.
All right. Okay. So Dinesha, this is the scenario. So you are a news anchor. Now you are reading the news at the news desk. Tell me an incident where you get to interview a particular person while reading the news. Again, news එක කරන අතර ඔය interview එකක් යන incident එකක් මට කියන්න. Yes.
I'm sorry, sir, I don't have a particular idea about that.
All right. Okay. No worries. Right. So I'll suggest an example. For example, the island first from each and every stream, science, max, so-called all the streams, they are seated at the news studio. While the news is going on, the news anchor will be asking some questions from them, right? So that type of a scenario, you must be able to handle. I want to take some suggestions, some a grade 5 scholarship island first, right? Or not regarding exams, right? We also have done foreign specialist like Mr. Prasad Kaushalya Dodangudage. So he's an expert journalist and a foreign analyst. So from these Ukraine war scenarios to Gaza and so-called incidents, we take him to the studios and as a guest, he's our director as well. So as a guest, we just ask him some questions, right? Or head particular a scientist from the, when we are reading the news about live scenario like protests, that thing is different, right? So let me conclude what I was speaking. That a particular scientist from the meteorological department, or if that meteorological word is difficult to pronounce, Met department, right? Met is a broad abbreviation in news, right? Particular scientist from the Met department, we'll be taking him and asking some questions. And at the same time, I've received a message when we are reading a news about live scenario like protest. That protest who jumped, protesters who came to the Rupavahini studios, those are not planned ones. That is a different scenario, right? You have to handle it in a very different, very careful manner. I was not lucky enough to handle such an incident. One news anchor, named Lahiru, he was there as a single news anchor at the noon bulletin. So he handled the situation. So that is very rare, right? I think it's the first time, right? Lahiru Lakman, right? Okay, so just search the bulletins there, YouTube and his Facebook page. So see how he handled those protesters, right? Okay, so in these now what this girl is trying to emphasize, for example, right? Okay, so the protest has been happening now. Kianon in news again, you have that, right? And let's get some live updates. So we have very on like a name, Modita Kavishka, right? His Modita. Now we are transferring to Mudita. Yes, some name. Yes, Tavishi. Now I'm here at the protest site in front of Goldface Green. He's giving the update. That is a different connection. That now Mudita is doing the live update, right? The Tavishi being the news anchor, she does the coordinating part. And the other thing, you'll be moving to some live, right? For example, the Perahara is been telecasted live, so you are going for live visuals, right? Or the cricket match for the final over, you're moving to the live, right? Likewise, you will be moving to live scenarios, and at the same time, you have telephone calls as well. right? So far I have not handled telephone calls, right? So that's a very rare, and if telephone calls are there, mostly they are recorded when it comes to the English bulletin, because we are doing it at 9. So it's mostly recorded, but we have done for live. I haven't done. It's the same thing. You can just transfer Sajivi Vadurakatan in Sambandhana and Sinhala. That's in English. So now we have over the phone. You can say so and so. You must be able to handle those situations as well. So before getting into how to do news, I'm explaining you all these background scenarios to emphasize that what you do have at the moment will be beneficial to do something at the news desk, and specifically the knowledge that you do have, right? One, I can't remember, Chanakya Noj, right? Uh, he is a Sinhala news anchor at Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation. He announced this thing in public, so that's why I'm just explaining those names. If something is not announced in public, I'm not saying their names, right? He had spoken to a newspaper, and they had written a beautiful paper article. So before getting into this news industry, I was reading and I was following them more, and he was explaining at a particular time when he was reading the news. There was an incident with Yal Devi train, and the visuals got delayed, and he got a signal to the earpiece, Malli or whatever, from the producer. Visuals are getting delayed. Can you say something about Yal Devi? We need to have at least 2-3 minutes. So we can't do anything, right? Luckily, he had the knowledge of, speaking a lot about Yal Devi, right? I hope, as if my memory is correct, it's Yal Devi, some train-like incident, right? Okay, so he was very happy at the moment. Why? Because there is something that he know, right? And as it's well aware, so he had managed the situation beautifully, right? Likewise, certain scenarios you are able to handle with your knowledge, if you do have such, right? Boasting and like, if you can't handle if you don't have knowledge, if you are bluffing or something, like those are not appreciated, because we have viewers all around the world, that we do have a credibility, so no bluffing. But if you have knowledge, the producers are also very convenient, and they all are happy to work with you, right? So you must have knowledge. I'm not telling that that incident won't happen again. We don't know. At any time, anything can happen. So there are a particular small minor situations that I myself have dealt with. So I'm lucky, I'm happy that I have handled those things to a manageable extent, without getting myself in trouble, and without letting the producers in trouble as well, right? Okay, so those are different scenarios. Getting back to what is called news is, now you might think about this. Now it's 8 p.m., almost 1 hour after speaking a lot. Now he's explaining about news. No, I'm not explaining news about news at this stage also. Why? What is news? What the letter NEWS stands for? What are the TV stations? Likewise, those are pieces of literature. You can read it anywhere, and you might know, if someone, a student who undergoes mass media and communication, an undergraduate, he or she will teach me about those things. So I'm not going to speak about those literary things. You can read it. News is north, east, west, south. It's like all around the world. You are having or something like that. That ordinary context, I'm not going to explain at any time, anywhere. Why? Because that is a thing that you know already, right? But I want to make this humble request. I have encountered in many, because throughout this the time period that I'm dealing with the industry, I was privileged to present myself and be a resource person to many university level competitions, and some school level things and many other things. So being a facilitator for those, I have met thousands of students who does the same thing, right? News programs, live reportings, documentaries, or whatever. I have ample of experiences regarding those things, right? And what I want to inform you is that I'm not asking this question, let it be something rhetoric, but I'll provide my own answer. Rhetoric questions are questions that you're not expecting answers, right? That is something regarding English literature. So those are included in poems or whatever, but I'm using this thing that is not properly adhering to this context, but assuming that I'm not expecting answers from you only, I use that particular word. That is the justification for the purpose of I'm using that word, right? So you can't put the fault on me. The word is not appropriate for this situation, right? Okay. If I ask you, raise your hands who watch news, people who have watched news will laugh, right? People who haven't done that will not raise their hands, right? But there might be some honest responses that they haven't watched any news bulletins, right? And it's in every, before each and every workshop, right? I myself explained them that this is the news, and just randomly I'm asking, raise your hands if you have watched a news bulletin. For my luck or someone's luck or whatever, the luck of the nation or anything, there are people who haven't watched news. The reply is, mother is not, because we'll not proceeding with our studies, so she is not letting us to watch television. The second question I can't ask because as they are students and they will let in trouble because that is just about to a competition. And why did you come here? Because I'm not asking that question. I haven't asked that. Why? Because they are coming here for a media competition to show that they can read news or do programs or whatever. Ultimately, those things are aired on the TV, and the mother is not letting you all to watch TV, right? No use of doing this thing, right? Please, just if you want to compete, I mean, just take part. This Japura voice is these are esteemed competitions, but I mean, with the lapse of these 3-4 years, I mean, yes, 3-4-5 whatsoever, they have improved their standards and make it a brand like thing. So when you take part in this thing, we believe that the students who are taking part in this will also have some sort of basic qualifications, right? So as a precautionary measure to protect their brand, I hope that they are doing a workshop to not let themselves in trouble and to have a win-win situation to both of them, for Japura and the competitors, and even for us to have some sort of a convenient judging environment, right? Okay, so please, now it's 8 no, from somewhere around before 9 I'll be winding up my session. At 9 you have the news at Rupavahini, right? Someone will read, anyone will be doing something, a good job there, right? So you can watch and see what a news bulletin is, right? Now when I propose you to then the word propose, right? The word propose, I'll explain you because I'll forget it, because that is not related to this. When you try to become a professional news presenter, right? People expect professional standards from you, right? For example, they won't invite you to like hi who like events or compare, they won't invite you. That's a different entertaining aspect. Some entertainers are there, very good entertainers, but their scope is different, right? Being professional, it's professional, no substitution, right? When you go do some programs or whatever, many people say, I also learned it from one of my seniors, right? I'm humbly saying that. When you go at the end of a program, there's a vote of thanks, no? To announce the vote of thanks, to present the vote of thanks or whatever, you will say numerous names, but vote of thanks should be proposed, right? Proposing the vote of thanks. I would like to invite Tisal Somaratna, representing Chopra Voice, to propose the vote of thanks. Why I'm saying so, being an English news anchor, being a news anchor, you have the credibility, you have the personality, you have the professional environment, you have the personal recognition that you all have built. You must be professional in any scenario. Making such mistakes, that mistake might not be known by anyone, but if a professional person is there, he knows that, right? So make it a point that you showcase, you portray what you do have in each and every moment, right? So that is an additional point, right? Getting back to what I was speaking, right? So when you and there's a small thing that I want to emphasize before that, getting back to what I was speaking. When you come here, to present news, I have requested you all to watch the news, right? So in watching news also, you must emphasize the fact that each and everyone is not perfect, right? Even myself, I might be doing mistakes. So you, just watch each and every bulletin and absorb, because although you are not well versed in presenting, you can identify mistakes, right? So you can identify them. So identify those mistakes and correct yourself. Even if you notice any mistake from me, don't make it an excuse that I have made that mistake on there. You yourself must correct it, right? That is this thing. So I want to emphasize a small thing. Now, each and every after each and every news bulletin or any program, what you do, I myself, I will watch it, or else my wife will watch it, right? And I will be getting a feedback, and I myself also watching it and taking something, noting something down, not physically, to my mind, that not to do this mistake again. So each and everything that you do, you can record yourself and watch it again, and make it a point to correct your mistakes, right? So what you do, practice, you record it. It's a voice clip or a video, anything possible, and understand your mistakes. So each and everyone does this thing, right? Even I myself do. All the others who are dealing with me, I know that they are also doing. Well experienced people after 20, 30 years, they might not do, but still they are also doing randomly, right? If they have done some mistakes on there, they definitely watch the bulletin and correct their mistakes to the next time, right? So you also must be humble to correct your own mistakes and to apologize for any mistake that you are doing, right? Okay, getting back to the previous scenario. Now, you must at least watch the news. This is the thing. Now, when you get the script, it's not a story. You all are reading it in a different manner. Some are delivering a speech on that topic. Some have created some other, stories and incidents and scenarios, and they are adding just more like different. It's like, I don't like to use this, but it's like a comedy, all right? Why? Because why can't you switch on the television and watch a news bulletin? Is it onerous task? Is it something extraordinary that you can't perform, right? Even you don't have a television at home, you might be having a smartphone, right? So using that smartphone, just you can log onto YouTube or Facebook or whatever, you can just watch a bulletin. Why I am saying so? You must know that each and every, news bulletin, they do have an introduction, right? Introduction as in, Rupavahini, there's a specific introduction. So for you all, you can create one or you can practice one of them, right? That introduction will explain you, this is the news bulletin of this television station. Sometimes they might tell their names, right? And they will be saying that next up is headlines. Headlines is what? Headlines is the, it's a synopsis like thing of the top stories that the bulletin will be comprised of. And then you'll be moving to the stories in detail. You have the local stories first, then the international stories, then the foreign stories. Sometimes in the middle, you might be having some segments. Weather segments, if the weather is, there is an inclement condition. You might be having a news file, a brief thing like that. Ukusa or Paravia or whatever this thing, some bulletin like that. A very other program. There's a, small version. And you can, there, that some incidents, they report accidents in a different segment, right? Likewise there. But ordinary local news, foreign news, and sports news, right? Okay. So starting off, when you just switch on the television, you'll be having the theme played, right? Papara papara or whatever it is. That after the theme, the studio appears, and the two anchors, one or two, not more than two, right? Three will be there when a breaking news is there to cater trilingual, right? Two will be there, and yes, they will start the bulletin. They'll start like this. Good evening and welcome to the National News Broadcast, bringing to you live from the National News Studios here at the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation. We're ready to bring you the top stories at home and around the world. I'm Charitha Minipuraarachchi. The next, from the other side, will say her name. And for example, assume that she announced her name. And let's move on to the headlines for tonight's news. That's the next headline. That is the introduction. So when you do present news, you must know that you must give an introduction that you will observe from watching television, watching a news bulletin, and you will get to know, all right, this is the thing that I want to do, right? Then headlines are there in a deep punched voice. You will be telling the headlines, right? That is recorded, but in competitions is not recorded. You can even tell one or two headlines, or you can just skip that part as per the requirement of the judges or whatever. You can, under the guidelines criteria, you can mention that. After the headlines being played, right? Then studio is back. You'll be saying, and on those and stories in detail now, and starting off with the top local story. Now, onto those and other stories or whatever it is. Now, the news in detail or anything that you have practiced, or you can change it from time to time. So we do. You will be moving to the Sinhala, news in detail, right? So you'll be getting the stories from the top story. Mostly will be a president's item or a diplomatic item, right? Might be a state-honored, extreme-ended funeral, right? Or whatever. No, normally we don't start with funerals, but sometimes there might be certain situations like that, right? So we'll be starting with the top story, right? And then after a considerable number of stories, you might be having a mid-break. Mid-break means the break in the middle. That means within that local segments, local news items will be having the break. And you can say that we're moving to a short commercial break, and we'll be back with more local stories after this, right? Then the studio will take, then you can take, welcome back, and you can go ahead with the news. And then there will be a foreign break, right? That means for the international stories, you need to give a break. We'll be back with international stories after this break. And I want to emphasize, even I did the mistake this at initial time, at the other side of the break, right? At the other side of the break. Don't say that other side. What side? Other side, right? Sometimes be the MCR side or whatever it is. No, don't mention other side, right? After the break, right? And for the sports one, at Rupavahini, we don't usually give a break. But if you want now, sports next or whatever, you can just beautifully tell something like that and go to the sports news. And after that, you can end your news bulletin. And that's it on tonight's news, which is tomorrow at the very same time. I'm Charitha signing off with Sairangi. Stay safe. Good night. Right? Likewise, you can beautifully end the bulletin. Repeating again without anything, right? Good evening and welcome to the National News Broadcast, bringing to you live from the National News Studios here at the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation. Or earlier we used to say, Good evening and stories. I also can't remember. Stories around the world, right? Stories around the world, stories here at home. This is the national news broadcast. I'm Charitha Minipuraarachchi, the other. And let's move on to the headlines for tonight's news like this, right? Okay. Back to the normalcy, starting from when I'm speaking, I'm breathing not to my chest, but to my stomach, right? Why? Because when I am breathing to the chest, this will expand and your abdomen will go in. No, right? Try to breathe into your stomach, right? But right? Again, then you will be able to tell the entire thing, and the entire thing at the initial stage, you might not be able to. Right? But with practice, you must be able, right? Stories around the world, stories here at home. This is the national news broadcast, bringing to you live from the National News Studios. I'm Charitha Minipuraarachchi, female thing, and let's move on to the headlines for tonight's news, right? When you breathe to the stomach, you can go ahead with a good word count, right? Okay. Then, after that introduction, when you read the news, there are different types of news bulletins, right? I mean, not bulletins, news items, right? You might be having a funeral. You might be having some World Cup winning moment and president's item, a prestigious, I mean, diplomatic item or any other formals, right? Okay. You must change your tone depending on what you need to deliver, right? If it is an obituary, a funeral, you can't like be energetic and explain, I mean, read that thing in a more energetic manner. You must go down and reduce your tone, right? And I mean, read that news in a lower tone, right? But when it comes to some sports or energetic one, just change the tone a bit, right? If it is a formal one, you can just go ahead with some sort of a formal preparation, right? Okay. And in that case, switching from one tone to the other, don't try to imitate some other person. Or if you want to create a deeper bass voice, right? Good evening and welcome to the national news broadcast. Likewise, you're trying to change. If you have a smooth voice, you're trying to deepen your voice and try to change. No, don't. Why? Because you might not be able to continue this thing until the end of the bulletin, right? You will be stuck somewhere in the middle, and you might not be able to deliver a good bulletin. You can follow others. Following is okay, but don't imitate, right? You can't be some other Clifford Richards. You can't be someone like Faisal Bonzo. You can't be Faisal Bonzo. You can't be uh, Arun Dias Bandaranaike. You can't be Dushan Vas, right? But you can be you, right? Try to recognize yourself and you can improve yourselves with continuous practice, and you will be creating a unique voice. Because when we hear, we know that that particular person is speaking, right? If you are not creating something identical, something that identifies you, right? That is a problem that lies within you. So you must be able to create a good background with your own voice. So when you come to competitions, don't try to deepen your voice and imitate some other's voice, because that won't be a plus point, and you will fed up at the end of the session. You can't go till the end of the session, right? Okay, that is a basic thing that I want to emphasize, right? So with those continuous practice and with what I explained, if you can create a good environment that is beneficial, for your practice, it's very important to equip yourselves with that particular, talents, right? Language, presentation skills, and moreover, recording yourselves and doing it again and again, right? There are the things that you need to practice, right? Breathe to the stomach and speak. That will be a good practice. And try to read something loud, right? For example, watch a news bulletin, take a piece of paper and try to write YouTube video. And this is what I have done, right? You can write it in a piece of paper and prepare a script. Now you have your own script, right? You might think that you can find some scripts, but try better writing your own one and see whether that their words are clear, the pronunciations, right? And creates and you can try to correct their mistakes as well if there are any, and create your own scripts and try to read it, right? Reading that particular script and recording it again and again, right? That will improve. And when you just watch that particular, these are all practicals, right? No, you can't, if I'm taking a script or whatever, and if I'm reading and showing something, all right, this is the way that you should do, that is the way that I should do, that is something that I should not do. Why? That will be something like I can show that I can do it, right? That is good for you all to see talents of me, right? I'm not here to show my talents, no, because that's a different thing. So if you want to see how I'm performing, you have ample of YouTube videos. You go ahead and you can watch the programs or news or the events or what I have done. You can see them. You are reserving your time and staying here live. You are not here to see what I am doing here, right? You must get something and I must give you something. So this is totally different, right? So you must practice, and within this limited time period, I'm trying to explain how to get yourselves into practice, right? Okay, so now you have watched the bulletin, now you have your own written script, and you are trying to read it, right? Watching the news bulletin and trying to read it, you can mark where the reader stops. The pauses, right? Now, pauses are there. Why you stop? You go short of breath. Hulanne kata karan. That's it, no? So you are speaking from exhaling air. Husma ganna gamang nama kiyana try karan, don't unmute your microphones, right? Husma ganna gamang, right? While breathing in, taking in air, try to tell your own name. And if you are successful, tell me, I'll resign from my every portfolio and I'll be at home, right? You can't do it, right? Husma ganna gamang, while breathing in, you can't, right? Only by breathing out, only by exhaling, you can pronounce words. So what you exhale is what you take in. And at the same time, you can't do inhaling and exhaling. And if you can do it, tell me, I'll consider on the resignations, right? Okay. Why? At the same time, that is how we are built. You can't inhale and speak while inhaling. You can't do both at the same time, right? If you can, just let me know. I'm also happy to see such an individual, because I have not come across such a patient or whatever. It's good to know, right? And it's nice to know, and it's happy to know as well, right? Okay, so now when you put something out, you have to take something in or to put something out. There's no any other pump in to take air in, right? So when you just go sort of what you take in, you have a very limited number of seconds to speak, right? And even you can't take as much as you can, because there's a maximum lung capacity that you can tolerate. But you can increase your lung capacity, right? You can practice yourself. You can let yourself into practice. This is how you can do, right? Take a breath in and try to hold it. And exhale slowly, right? Take that into practice, right? And take in the regulation, go out after holding it for a considerable time period, right? That will improve. And when I do go, I engulf myself in a leisure environment. If, for example, a hotel or whatever it is, there's a swimming pool, what I go do, and because I can't swim, and what I do there, either I go in and just try to hold my breath and come out. Like that is my usual practice. That is a now don't try. That is one thing that I won't, because now I can't swim, right? So I'm not worrying about my disability, but I'm happy that I can go deep into the water and stay without breathing and come out and survive. So that thing others might not be able to do. So I'm doing that. They are swimming. So it's two different. So you all can engulf yourself in what you can do, but what others can't do, right? Okay. So you can do that practice. So aqua fitness trainers and everything they do, that's a good exercise, right? And so you can just control your breath and increase your lung capacity. So you will be able to tell that entire thing. I mean, just one and a half a sentence like thing from your single breath, right? Okay, that will give you a good, good personality in terms of voice. Why? Because you're not panting. You can just beautifully introduce that introduction sentence, one breath, right? Okay, that is a plus point, and that is a good impression even when you go for a screen test at a television station. That is important, right? Give me a second. I'm sorry for the interruption. Right. Okay. Now, in that scenario, you must increase your lung capacity and the pronunciation skills that I mentioned, because how you pronounce words, how you keep pauses in between matters a lot. And you must pause in between sentences without harming the context, right? Now, in Sinhala, I will tell this, Maranna epa nidahas karan. Maranna epa nidahas karan. Two different ideas conveyed in English also the same. Right? If you are posing at the wrong place, you will be conveying a different message to the community, right? And be careful. Now, you know that Andirinitya, Hadisinitya, right? Curfew and emergency regulation imposing thing, right? Earlier, it's not when I was practicing as a news anchor, Sirasa, they have announced that now Hadisinitya that is emergency law is imposed. No, that is not the curfew, right? They have mentioned Andiranitya in place of Hadisinitya, right? So now people were getting panicked and they were running here and there, because before that curfew is been imposed, they should go to their safer zones. No, so from the news anchor up to that entire staff was thrown away. So be careful and be mindful about what you speak, because now if you announce the correct word, all are safe. And as you mentioned the wrong thing, everyone lost their jobs, right? And that is the risk, right? That is the other important thing, praising the language and the other skills. And don't try to show expression mourning. No, right? You can just show mild expressions and hand gestures, no, right? But you can emphasize this thing. Now, when you are reading the news or whatever, what I used to do is that have this pen in a different manner, right? And like in a, emphasizing note, right? And just emphasizing certain facts in different manners, right? Likewise, you can use the hands to a certain extent and face to a limited extent, and go ahead with a beautiful presentation, right? And turning pages and everything, it's different, right? And the prompter, we do have a screen. It's in front of the camera. Now, if the camera is like this, suppose the camera is like this, in front of the camera. Now, I'm turning the camera towards you, right? This is the camera. in front of the camera, there's a transparent, a screen. Now, when this camera is kept like this, you might assume that there will be a blurred thing. No, the camera can capture your visuals, and at the same time, while the camera captures your visuals, what is displayed on the prompter, you can see. Now, you all are looking at my screen now. Now, this is the prompter. This is the camera. Camera is behind the prompter, right? Cross section, it's like this, right? Camera, prompter, and read is somewhere here. Right. Okay. Now, when you do any present news, so we can just prompter earlier, it was like a foot pedal. Now it's on the desk and we have a remote like thing. Whatever works at the moment, the remote or this hand controller we use. No foot controller, pedal like thing no longer, because we have the latest updated technology. The foot thing is removed, right? It's like the accelerator of the vehicle. If it is accelerated more, it will go up like this. You must regulate the speed, right? And when the other reader is reading, if you paddle it, it will go up, and you must be responsible at that moment as well, right? And controlling the thing, you have a screen in front of you, right? So in that screen, what you will see is all the letters, and what you do when you prepare videos for this purpose, you put your all the news script on screen and you start reading, right? Nothing, like we can't deduct marks because each and everyone is doing the same, right? If you have a script like thing, right, written or whatever, you can go ahead with the eye contact. But we do when the script, the prompter is not there, is what you can do, right? So when we examine the videos, we know that this fellow is looking somewhere else and reading, right? It's not presenting, it's reading, right? To present, you can go to the script and come to the screen. Likewise, you can change it and do. Without a prompt also we read news now. So you can do that thing, right? Including all those into practice, you can create a good news bulletin. The language, poses, and everything, the tone that you change, you can create. So giving, these personal insights and everything, I want to emphasize this fact. So when you just go through what I mentioned here in today's session, is very important for you all to understand the four corners of this presenting, right? And watch some news bulletins and try to make yourselves comfortable for what you do, right? Okay, so still no, Q&A box is empty. A Q&A box is there, and the chat box is a different one, no? I saw it right now, the updated version. So anyways, like if you do have any questions, so I'll be moving to my, latter part of my session. If you do have questions, I would like to entertain them as well, all right? So please let your questions drop. Or if there are no questions, I'm happy that I will explain everything that you require, right? Okay, so explaining those things, I want to emphasize another fact. When you do go present news, and if I may ask you a small question, who does the news at Rupavahini? You will search, or you will know a few names. The names of the anchors, right? News readers or presenters, right? You won't inform about any producer. You won't inform about any assistant producer. You won't inform about the news director. You won't inform about the assistant director. You won't inform about the editor, typist, translator, reporters, assistant reporters, audio controllers, video controllers, CG wall controllers, studio assistant, floor manager, the 4 cameramans, 4 assistant cameramen, and the other, person who facilitate, a technical support officer who facilitate us with the earpieces and everything. There's a lot of staff, right? And even joining to the main control room, there are many other officers, right? They are technicians responsible. No, still you know only 2 people who does the news, right? So you must keep respect. You must always be, help, work cooperatively with them. Otherwise, they won't let you shine, right? That is the ordinary thing. When you go there, and if you think that you are the only person that you can do this thing, all right, money in the screen, likewise, you are trying to recognize yourself and make you recognized as the person who is identified, right? The person who is recognized, they will recognize you in a different manner, and you won't be able to do that thing conveniently no longer, right? Because all the people are helping us to shine. People know us, right? Even now, I was requested to do these things because I'm on air, and you might have seen me somewhere, might have not, or any other thing, but that aspect is very important. So you must work friendly with them. You must give them their due respect. I am whatever thing, you can just address them. And from the very beginning onwards, try to work with the others very friendly, in a very friendly manner, cooperatively. Why I say so? It's very important to maintain a long run when you go ahead with these, presenting as a news anchor or a program presenter, right? Okay, so I think we have some questions, right? Does accent matter, right? Right. We have an option, answer live and type answer. You use the option answer live, right? Okay. The updated version is so good, so we have a lot of facilities, right? Right. Okay. Answer live. When you're done, it goes to the answer one. There are dismissed ones also, no? Right. Okay. That behaves in a different manner, right? Okay. So you can maintain your own accent, right? But don't harm the pronunciations, right? Correct pronunciation is the most important thing. And Southern British accent, you can follow, it's good, right? For example, education, schedule, likewise, the in place of G, those are pronunciation things, right? And in certain cases, but like some different native speakers, you can't be a native speaker, but if you do have that accent, it's okay, but adhere to the formal, pronunciations. Correct pronunciation is the most important thing. And Mahele Jayawardena, right? We can twist a tongue and pronounce Jayawardena. Vikramasinghe, Dharmavardhana, right? Don't do it like that. Dharmavardhana, Bandula Gunavardhana, Chandrika Bandaranayaka Kumaratunga, Vijay Kumaratunga, right? Right. Now, for example, we say Bala Jayawardena, Chandrika Bandaranayaka Kumaratunga. Those are foolish accent. Don't follow those, right? Because we Sri Lankans, we can pronounce our names clearly, no? Why we try to follow some British people or those people? Now, as they can't pronounce our names, they are telling different wrong things. Why we are following that same wrong, right? Bandula Gunavardhana. It's not Bandula Gunavardhana, right? It's different because they are not in the position of twisting their tongue and pronouncing those names, right? So you all can do that in your Sri Lankans, so pronounce those names in a correct manner, right? Okay, that is the most important thing. As for the competition, we have been asked to select a newsworthy event and record a 2-minute video based on a prepared script. Do we need to give the introduction, name of the reader, channel, and the headlines thing? Yes, if you have, if they have asked you to create your own script without providing, you must create. Those are the guidelines provided by the organizers, right? Now you have created a script, right? Suppose you have created a script. Now you can, while you are creating a script, you can do, right? If they request you, right, your channel is Japura News by Japura Voice, you must tell that in the introduction. Or if they ask you, I don't know their guidelines yet. So if they haven't provided any guidelines, you can do whatever you want. Any TV station or any assumed one, right? For example, take a name. All right, okay. Now, for example, take ABC ABC is also there, no? DEF, right? DEF broadcasting or something like that. You can use any name or any media unit that you have done it to your school or whatever. Assume that that is a particular TV station. You can give a good introduction. Without a good introduction, that won't be a good bulletin, right? A good news item, because it's news, no? So you show that to the judges that you are well aware about how the news behave, right? Okay, then you record a 2-minute video. The introduction won't take so long, right? And you can tell your name, I'm so and so, and starting off with headlines. Then it's like there's a small bit of a production thing. You need to video it, and if a hectic situation. No? So anyways, then try to end it. 2-minute video. If it exceeds a bit more, I think they won't penalize for extending the time. I mean, exceeding the time. That would be okay, right? So follow the procedure and go ahead with those video clips and try to be in a beautiful attire, right? If you have, I mean, a tie like this thing, tie a long sleeve one, it's nice, so it's a different experience for you all also, no? So you can, even after the competition, you can post it on social media or whatever. You can have some sort of fun from that also. Just beautifully, if you have a jacket, you can wear. Ladies, you can be in an official suit, or if you can wear a sari or whatever. I'm not like proposing mandatory requirements, but you must be in a professional attire. T-shirt එකක් දාගෙන record කළාට හරියන්නේ අපිටත් එක ලැජ්ජයි, right? You just in a professional attire, just record, right? Okay, answer live, done, right? Okay, it's all right to look at the script and read. Yes, don't look at the script and like this and read, right? Right, for example, think like that. I do have the script. I'm giving the introduction එක පාඩම් කරගන්න, right? It's by heart the introduction. Good evening and welcome to the National News Broadcast, bringing to you live from the National News Studios. I'm Charitha Minipuraarachchi. Let's move on to the headlines for tonight's news. Then headlines, then the news, right? On to those and other stories in detail now, and starting off with the top local story. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has emphasized, likewise, you can go ahead and create something, I mean, a good impact. You can go to line. I mean, don't by heart and present, right? That will be like memorizing and reading. Don't do, because you have a script, and if there are figures or something like that, you can emphasize them and tell to the, even it is on the prompter, right? Some readers, Clifford Richards, if you see, I also learned it from him, to emphasize the viewers that I am checking this fact and letting you know, looking the figure 278,946, right? Why? People know that those types of odd figures we can't remember. 3 million is okay, right? 2,246,946 rupees and 39 cents, like Super Bowl Grand Pro, right? That particular figure, it's very difficult to remember. Keep in mind, look into the script and go. It's there on the prompter, but he's checking it again. Anyways, he's looking at the prompter and reading, but checking it to emphasize the people that I'm checking it and letting you know. That improves the credibility, right? It's not just reading, right? You can read, you can, it's presenting, right? You must tell a story to the people. Now, when I'm explaining this thing, I'm using different tones, no? Now, within this time period, emphasizing, right? Now I'm changing my tone, forces and everything. So news, it goes beyond that extent, but you must do something. You must emphasize and, I mean, particularly explain that thing to the public in a different manner, right? This is also answered live and done, right? Okay. Any questions? No? Have you all had?
Are there any particular qualifications that are required to be a news
Right.
anchor?
The only qualification that the TV stations require is that you can do it, right? If you are able to come, read the news properly. That is the only requirement that they accept and expect, right? But at the same time, you need to have a good appearance, right? It's not that, as I mentioned, the branded ones that you wear, or how, I mean, how do you do your facials and everything, but you have to have your hair neat. If you are having this thing, beard or mustache or whatever, it's neat, professionally, neatly cut, and you must maintain something, right? And if you are wearing something, should be properly ironed or something. What you do have, you need to present in a more elegant manner, right? That thing they check, right? And the other thing, although they, because in my professional career, I don't have any certifications, degrees related to media. The only thing is that I'm a trained news anchor and program presenter from the Sri Lanka Media Training Institute. Now it's not there, it's SLMTI formally. Previously it was SLTTI. I was there for somewhere around 6 months. So that is the only thing that I do have. And even when I'm moving to those screen tests and everything in my interviews, they didn't even look at that certificate, right? Only thing is that they let me in for a screen test. And there were several steps, right? So those things, it consumed some around 3-4 years to conclude those, right? Depending on the environment and backgrounds and everything, political influence matters and everything. So without any influence, you can go in and you can survive and you can be stable. That's how I went in. So no influence. So I'm here stable since where I got in through a screen test. I'm stable here. And if you do go from the support of someone, if the supporters are no longer in power, you will also no longer in power. So you also come out, right? And go again in when they come in. Likewise, you can just shuffle yourself in between certain professions and you can do something. But I must emphasize this. When you go in with some other qualification, because you all are undergraduates, you all have at least 1 degree qualification, right? So with that, you know the subject, right? For example, if something comes across law or medicine or management, I know them because I pursue those, right? And in that word, the specific words, for example, intervenient petitioner, when translating this, those people require. And for example, what I can remember was there was one incident, archaeological ordinance, Puravidya Ajna Panatha, right? It's not archaeological ordinance, although the exact translation of Puravidya is archaeological, right? It's the antiquities ordinance, right? So that word antiquities is known by someone who knows law, right? It's not the archaeological ordinance, but it is the antiquities ordinance. So in certain cases, for example, a title of a medical professional or doctor or any other disease condition, any other explanation, when they translate it, they will get wrong. For example, some abbreviations, IDH, Institute of Infectious Diseases, or something like that. Likewise, so certain things, when you know the subject, you are convenient to do, right? And there were certain off-script explanations regarding COVID and everything. So to explain something about the current aspect, knowing the subject will help you. Or else, otherwise, the important thing is that you need to master yourself with the knowledge that is being updated, right? Right? That is very important. Before going to the news, that is very much important. And ministerial portfolios, I'm not a person involved in politics, but I know the ministerial portfolios, who the minister is, likewise those things. But why? Because for example, there are certain mistakes. All people are human beings, so they can do mistakes. Now, there are two individuals, Ali Sabri. Ali Sabri is the Minister of Foreign Affairs. He's a President's Counsel as well. He's a lawyer. He's a President's Counsel, right? So he served the Minister of Justice previously. And there was a script, Minister of Justice, Ali Sabri, right? Now I go to the editor. If I spoke in a rude manner, it's not good. No, so I went there and I was just asking, Mr. This is correct. Yes, Ali Sabri is a lawyer, so he's the Minister of Justice, right? I said, no, his ministerial portfolio was changed. Now he's serving as the Minister of Foreign Affairs. How then change it? Right? If I'm sure you can change it. Now, what I'm going to change? If the original script carried Minister of Justice, it's not Ali Sabri, but it's President's Council, Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa. Be aware about the title. Nikan nama vitarak kiyana samarala in only certain cases, only their names are mentioned. But Vijayadasa Rajapaksa is a doctor plus President's Council, not medical doctor, double PhD, double doctor, right? So in that case, you can give some respect, no? So I ask, if is the original script carrying Minister of Justice or Ali Sabri? If it is the original script is carrying Minister of Justice, it should be President's Council, Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa. The original script carries Ali Sabri. It should be Minister of Foreign Affairs, President's Council, Ali Sabri. Got it? You must be well aware. Change change and you don't know where to change. Right? So that is not up to you, but you can support them. But in a friendly manner, you can speak them. When you know the subject, to know that thing, you don't need to know law. You must be generally aware about what is happening around the world and across the country, right? So in that scenario, you will come out as a person whom they can be credible. No mistakes in your bulletin. Technical mistakes, no. Why? Because when you know the subject or when you know what is happening around the world, that is good, right? Okay, right? Any other questions? Coming to the latter end, I was speaking, we're doing for nearly 2 hours, almost done. Yes. No questions. Q&A box seems empty. Right? So one request that I want to do, one humble request. So when you proceed in this field, you all are educated individuals. So when you come here, maintain the dignity and the reputation, right? So don't try to make yourselves, overjoyed with what you get when you appear on screen, when people can see you by switching on a television. It's different something that when you post a picture on Facebook, or when you do one of your own videos on social media and the others see. It's a different level of experience, right? When you do something, when your videos appear, a television station is capturing your videos and you are a presenter identified from that scope, from that level. What you will do is that, all right, now I'm appearing on television screens and everything. Now I have a good reputation, so like all the other people are below me, right? If you think, you will go below than the others, because once your reputation or whatever is tarnished by way of some other thing that is beyond your control, no room for you to correct that. Why? Because your practice is wrong. So I'm just humbly requesting to maintain the dignity, reputation, be educated, learn as much as you can. At the same time, you can serve media as a presenter, as a news anchor, as a journalist, or any particular platform, any particular field, because there are many segments. No, you can be a dubbing artist, there can be the voice, you do voiceovers, you can read news, you can do programs, you can do sports commentary, right? There are many. Each and everyone is not capable of doing everything, right? I'm not doing sports commentary because I don't know much about cricket and I can't do that thing. I'm aware of that. I do certain voiceovers, but I'm not going to dub anything, cartoons and everything, because I feel like that is not my this thing. Because many people, we have friends related to media, so when there's Mali, they dub karam. It's a voiceover documentary like thing we do, but it's a cartoon like let someone else do. Big, bro. Everything is not done by a single individual. There should be shared opportunities as well, right? So you specialize to a particular field, programs or whatever, events that you compare, recognize yourself in what you can do very well, right? And you can present yourself in that caliber, right? So don't like to boast yourself and just do, create a different personality out of what you have received. Then your journey will be short, right? I'm not explaining that I have gone a greater extent and explaining you. While walking on the same, I'm telling my experience and what I've done and what I've seen, what I've experienced, right? So I think those might be essential for you all to learn something and gain something, right? Okay, so with that, you might be having something good, something better than me, right? You can, I mean, check. You can apply for a screen test. You can, these competitions, I mean, university level, you have done something school level and that is over now. So university level and some other competitions are there. You can present yourself and you can compete yourselves. You can win them because these, I mean, university level things are recognized. And later on, if, I mean, when certain screen tests and everything are done, you have some experience. So yes, in that scenario, you'll be able to grab the most important thing in your life, but you have to wait. You have to be not in a hurry, but you have to keep calm, stay quiet, stay humble, and see how it happens. Gain the experience, learn well, and try to create a good personality out of yourselves. And then people will recognize you, right, from your name, not from the qualifications that you do have, right? So try to use your name and make something glamorous for the qualifications or the titles that you do have. Don't try to absorb titles and gain shine from those titles, right? So that is one general humble request that I'm making at the end of this workshop. So again, sincere apologies for not being able to attend on your formal schedule. Sunday morning, which we were obliged to do, it was it's an unavoidable circumstance that I was going through. And thank you very much, Japura Voice, again, for inviting me to do this workshop and be a judge for your competition. So I'm glad I'll be there to, I mean, evaluate you, not to judge and confine you to certain positions, but these people might ask to grade, right? So we have to grade and select some individuals. So in that process, I'll be also a decision maker. So you can convince myself and the other respected individuals who will be sitting with me, with the talents that you do have and with the expertise that you have gained. This 2-hour workshop will not be the entire life-changing, game-changing, or whatever the name. It's not that, right? With the aspects that I explained, and I should specifically mention again, not an ordinary thing. This is something that is essential for you all to grab. Each and everything I did for Japura Voice and Supernova and Illusion, they're different because they upload it to YouTube or do something. Like if someone is watching the same thing and coming here, they should also have something new, no? So you can watch the previous ones also if you do need. I'm not going to repeat the same thing because I'm updating myself day by day. Essential things I'm explaining because each and everyone is not having the same exposure. So essentials I'm explaining and updated facts because it's true that I can't do everything within the limited 2 hours. But if this is your first workshop, yes, this is more than enough. And if you are attending for each and everyone that I have it, if you have watched everything, that is also okay, right? So, but what I want to emphasize, by getting yourselves into practice, and there might be certain things that I have not emphasized here but emphasized in previous sessions. It's ordinary human nature. No, I don't have script or whatever and tick the points that I'm reading or explaining. So I'm just talking with my practice, with my experience, that what I get, gaining through the process and what I've got. In that scenario, there might be many individuals who are experienced than myself. I believe, and I humbly believe, that I do have something to share with you all. So honestly, open-heartedly, I've shared them with you. So if there are any further questions, the chat box is open, but there are, I mean, all right. Have your contact details, please, right? Okay. Facebook, just try to drop me a Facebook message, right? Now you can just drop a like or what. I'm not going to publicize myself there. Just drop me a Facebook message, mention that you just joined this workshop. And because otherwise, like, I'll be giving, now if someone contacts me, just informing them what I can do. If there are anything that you need any support from me as a person who has gone through the same process and reached this level without any hesitation, without any drawbacks, I'm willing to help anyone who reach me. So you can just ask me anything that you need through this, I mean, to get into this journey or whatever. This limited time workshop, I believe that it created a good impact within you all to do something. So if there are any things you need to know or whatever, you can just drop me a message. Might not the very same day, the exact same day that I'm just replying, but I will do reply for them. So you can ask me anything for any support or any future this thing, you can just ask me. If there are anything possible within my limits, I can do, but next day I can't let you in at a television station doing news, right? You have to improve yourself and undergo the same process. And Tahsha is smiling at me. I think time exceeding by 1 minute. Yes, and thank you very much once again for making me a part of your esteemed event. I'm grateful to work with you all for the, I think, fifth, it's phase 4, no? 4th consecutive year. So yes, all the very best for each and every participants. So glad to join with you, and thank you very much for listening and joining and making it an effective, fruitful conversation with some Q&As. And yes, Tahsha, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Minipuraarachchi. I think that was extremely beneficial to all of us who listened. Thank you for joining us. We will now take the official picture. So if it is possible for all of you to switch on your cameras, please do so now.
Okay, again, I'd like to invite you all. Please switch on your cameras if possible. Let's take an official photograph. Okay, done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Now, I'd like to invite our Assistant Chairperson for Supernova Phase 4, Ms. Indu Hansana, to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Tahsha. A very good evening to all of you. On behalf of Japura Voice, I sincerely thank you all of your invaluable contribution and unwavering support in making the Supernova Phase 4 English News Presenting Workshop a resounding success. Especially thanks and gratitude goes to Mr. Charitha Minipuraarachchi, English News Anchor, SLRC Compere, who accepted our invitation and joined us, sharing his deep insights and expertise and inspiring us with wisdom to make this event a success even with his busy schedule. I also take this opportunity to give a special thanks to our project committee members for their dedication and hard work behind the scenes, ensuring smooth operations and flawless execution. Last but not least, I want to express my deep gratitude to all the participants for their active engagement, enthusiasm, and positive energy, which truly elevated the event experience for all who attended. Finally, thank you all for your generous support and participation. We look forward to future opportunities to make together and create more memorable experience. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Once again, thank you for your active participation. With that, we wrap up the English News Presenting Workshop for Supernova Phase 4, organized by Japura News by Japura Voice. I wish you all a very good night.